Property Apprentice helping Kiwis create better retirement plans. And today, what an absolute treasure this is, Kempi. It is an honour to have Debbie from Property Apprentice in studio in the whānau with us. Morning, Debbie.
Good morning.
Morena, Debbie, morena.
Morena. How are you?
Yeah, cold.
Oh, no, it's freezing.
Cold property market?
Yeah, property market's pretty cool as well. So, in more ways than one, I'd say. So, today we were going to talk about mistakes, mistakes that people make when they're trying to time the bottom of the market. Because every single week now we're getting people saying, is it a good time to buy or should we wait till prices hit rock bottom? And it's like, well, you know what? Unless you've got a crystal ball, and you know exactly when prices are going to hit rock bottom, you're probably better to just get stuck in now.
In my 50 years experience in property, Debbie, there's never been a bad time to buy property.
Exactly. Like the only time that's a bad time to buy in a falling market is if you're planning on selling sooner rather than later. So if you're not planning on selling a property in the next few months, then, it doesn't matter if house prices drop a bit after you've bought.
Yeah, so what do they have to look out for at the moment? What are people looking, with the market cooling off, what are they looking at? Like you just talked to us about pre-approval, getting that done, because that's going to get harder to get your money off the banks. Is that one of the problems that you see forecast?
Yeah, it is, because banks are tightening up their lending criteria, and that happens every time interest rates increase. So we've had the Reserve Bank come out with all guns blazing, trying to tackle inflation. So we're expecting some more significant OCR increases, which is going to increase interest rates further. And whenever interest rates increase, banks increase the interest rate that they're testing your affordability at. So at the moment, banks are testing your affordability to pay a mortgage at around 7.6% interest, which is a lot higher than what we've currently got. But that's going to continue to climb as interest rates continue to climb as well. So, we're seeing a few different moving parts. Like we've got the triple CFA rules are starting to relax. So on one hand, lending's getting a little bit easier. They're not looking at how many coffees you buy anymore, which is a bonus. But they are increasing the test rate. So it's
what are they looking at then? Because as a younger person, and that I don't own a property, but you hear all the kind of ooga booga. Hey, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. What are like the classics that at the moment in this version of the market you reckon they're looking at? So
what the lenders need to do now is they need to look closely at your budget. So you need to be really realistic with your budget, and you need to be able to back that up. So, it's no good saying, oh yeah, I spend, $50 a week on entertainment if you actually spend $200 a week on entertainment. So, and there's a few other things that they'll look at, like rates, insurance, all that sort of stuff on a property that you're looking at purchasing. If it's an investment property, they take into account the market rent for that property as well. So you'll have to have a rental appraisal, because banks will take a portion of the rent and add that to your personal provable income. But the difficulty at the moment is that most people, especially people who are moving into another property, most people have got enough equity to do that, but they don't have the provable income to do what they want to do. So getting lending is probably the toughest thing about the property market at the moment. But if you're in a position where you can get lending, like I said, get a pre-approval, because then you'll know what your shopping price range is. So, and then if you can get a pre-approval for lending, you've got to ask yourself the question, would you rather get out in the market now and negotiate and potentially bag a bit of a bargain, or do you want to wait until hopefully you target the bottom of the market and then end up going house hunting with a whole bunch of other house buyers who are now in the market because they can see that it might be at the bottom as well. So it's like now there's hardly any competition from other buyers. We've still got interest rates below the long-term average. So, you can lock in a low average rate before things increase further and potentially negotiate a good price at the same time.
Yeah, and that's going to hurt people too. And as the interest rates rise and the payments rise with that, we're going to see a lot of people start to really hurt and lose that disposable income that they've got because they've put it on their mortgage. So you've gone and got your pre-approval and you're looking at your housing, and for me it's probably the beginning of that conversation is to get into the market now as opposed to wait later on when people think, oh, I've timed the timing, and it's all about timing. Is that how you generally see? You're saying that there's not a hell of a lot of people in the market at the moment. It's a really good time to buy. This is a buyer's market?
Absolutely, it's a buyer's market. And, a perfect example would be someone who was able to get lending before Christmas last year, before the rules all tightened up on the 1st of December. If they were trying to find a house then because they could get lending now and they missed out because there was so much competition from other buyers, those buyers now, there's a bunch of them that won't be able to get lending anymore. And they're regretting the fact that they weren't able to find a purchase before the 1st of December. Even though house prices were at the peak, they don't care because they were looking at buying a home that they were going to live in for 5 or 10 years, So now they can't get lending. House prices have dropped back and they're still going, I wish we'd found something at the end of last year when we could get lending.
Serviceability's dropped back too, isn't it? Because you've gone from a 3%, 4% loan to a rising interest rate in the market. So, if you are looking to purchase a house, it's better to get that locked in now. Is that that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, because now banks are testing it at 7.6%. So, they're making sure that you can afford the mortgage if interest rates get up to 7.6%. So they've got that safety buffer in there, which is why it's difficult to get lending at the moment.
Super information, Debbie. No, that's great. Are you guys still, you still got your training sessions that people can
do. We've got one tonight, haven't we?
Oh.
Yeah, we've got one tonight starting at 6:30 online.
Good for breakfast radio hours.
There you go.
How long do they take roughly?
A couple of hours.
Oh, there you go.
Depending on how many questions everyone's got, because I do them live. So.
Yeah. Hey, I've just got one more question for you. Around the ground, so around the country, because we've got a lot of listeners that are listening in from the deep south up to the far north. So the market across the board has cooled off?
Yes, yeah. So there are some parts of the country that still, on surface value, they still look as if they're doing quite well. But they're certainly past the peak of the boom. So, Christchurch, for example, there's parts of Christchurch which are still performing quite strongly. Houses are still selling, but it's nothing like what it was 12 months ago.
That's awesome.
Excellent stuff. Debbie from Property Apprentice.